Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one.
Yeah. Man.
I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil and inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Welcome to episode 535 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports from institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. For short, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Yes, we have both back in the building, and we're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Before I get to you guys, I got to give a shout out to Ralph as he giving me a hard time with my Black Sam Andrews Black Fantasy Football League. The league draft is next week, and he knows that I'll be out of town. So he talking noise, but I didn't school my partner, Ramon, and I think we're ready. We're going to break it down. We're going to get some good draft picks, and we're going to do what we need to do. Because this Sam Andrews Black Fantasy Football League, they serious over there, Charles. Mike, they serious.
Big time serious.
Money. They be trying to draft, and they be doing some cutthroat stuff. I ain't gonna tell all about the league. Good folks over there now. We raise some good money for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I don't know about the rest of them. With that being said, Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. We are right up on it. Freshmen have moved in. We'll start school sometime next week. We got football this weekend too. So week zero, we're underway.
Yes, it's time to get to it. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good, Doc. CB, how y'all doing?
Big Mike, what's going on, bro?
I'm here in the state of North Carolina, mixing work with getting both boys moved in this week.
Is that right? They're gonna finish up playing some lacrosse. They still got.
Oh, absolutely. One is in the senior year, and one is going to the junior year. So
nice.
So we'll see what that comes. So.
See what that looks like. That means you got to take a couple more trips out that way.
No, we appreciate your time.
Absolutely, there'll be plenty of trips to North Carolina.
All right.
Yeah. And it looks like they might be trips for more than just trips for lacrosse. Ooh. Hence the black and gold.
Yeah, it's that time of year. We'll see. Let me know if I need to make my trip and bring some of the wood on the plate. Oh, that's right. We don't do that. This is going out live. This is recorded. Non-hazing organization.
Yes, we are officially a non-hazing, but we do take care of business.
Hey, Charles, have you heard of this thing called rat poison?
I have heard something about rat poison. I understand you are the HBCU version of Chuck E. Cheese right now. You out here.
Big Mike, you heard of rat poison?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's this all about, really. So, and
I did my Paul ranking last week, and thankfully you wasn't here, Mike. Charles wasn't even here either to talk about my Division II. I brought the Division II specialists on. Stephen Gator, Kendrick, and they let me know they wasn't but so happy about my top 7 for different reasons now. Well, it looks like Coach Keaton Clark Atlanta University Panthers head coach, he wasn't all that excited about it either. He called it rat poison. Rat poison. Coach Keaton, man, you're supposed to love me more than that. He said HBCU football season, preseason rankings, and predictions. We gave it there. At least we know they're paying attention. Stephen Gaither also wrote about it, but on his Instagram page, he put out the poll now. So I give him love for that. He made sure, and he put the whole poll out there. The top 21.
Yeah. At least the poll got some notoriety. At least they showed the whole poll and it got notoriety. That's all it's about. I'm finna write him a check.
Exactly.
You need to give him a few wins.
He's good. He's good.
Doc, let me make sure I understand this now.
Yeah.
So you have confidence in Clark Atlanta simply because Coach Keaton, who went 7-3 last year at Allen, best winning percentage at Allen's program since 2018. He's now at Clark. He brings his record-setting quarterback with him from a team that averaged over 450 yards per contest last year. And now he brings that to Clark, and Clark looks like they're investing in the facilities and they're doing the right things. You showed them love, and you know what? That is rat poison. Yep, you're right. It's rat poison.
Yeah, coach has won everywhere he's gone. He started jumping into it in Stillman College, graduate assistant. Now he's been heading up the chart, but he wanted to make sure that his players, I know who he was talking to. He's talking to his players, maybe a little bit to the fans, but I'm sure he wants them to come out. But he didn't want the fans to be reading and listening to all his top 5 mess. He said no. He said no, sir. There's was saying that this is rat poison. Don't believe the hype. How do Clark Atlanta rank in creating great practice habits and great efforts? So he said that's what they want to do. That's what they're doing right now. We are focused all 2 hours of practice, all focused in the meeting room that will tell our true rankings, end quote. So, Charles?
How dare you raise their expectations over there, Clark? How dare you do that?
Mike, what are your thoughts?
See, I got a little different view. I'm scratching my head on this because on one thought, I understand that, there's a saying, be careful of reading your own press clipping. And you wonder, is he sending a message to his players? Does he have an issue with the poll or the standing? And it sounds like it's somewhere toward the end. He has an issue with the standing. He's trying to tell his players, be careful of reading your own press clippings. I get that. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with getting a little sunshine on your team to start the season for the benefit of fandom, for the benefit of hype, for the benefit of getting people excited. So, that's kind of where I'm going back and forth with it. I understand you don't want to read the press clippings. We looked at how you finished in 2023, but damn it, coach, you could take some upward lift going into 2024. Take it, eat it, absolve it, love it.
Coach Keaton won everywhere he been. The expectation of raise over there at Clark. So you got to deal with him now. You got to deal with him.
Raise the bar,
Teddy. I'm just saying he might be more brilliant than we both think. He could be doing it on both sides.
Exactly.
He challenges players to say, "Look, man, don't read your press clippings as you see it." But he's the one that posted this, so he could also be smoothly putting attention on his program. Now, if y'all paid attention to the Instagram, seriously, on a serious note, Clark Atlanta University has raised the bar in terms of what they're doing from a media perspective. What they're doing, putting out there the practice. Obviously, the film that has went viral in terms of the red field that they updated. Most people like it. Some people question it. But the fact is out there and it's heightening. So, in how he's going about his coaches and practice, I think this is also an opportunity that he made the most of, making sure that people have eyes on Clark Atlanta.
Yes,
And
indeed.
what he wanted them to be on Clark Atlanta for the right reason. So I think there's a lot of brilliance in that.
And I think that's brilliant. And if you look at where they started, where were they? 0-10 in the SIC last year. So get all of the sunshine and notoriety you can, but change the narrative to where you want it. So I get that piece, from my perspective. I get that, but raise the bar.
Yeah, I think he's doing a little bit of both of that. That's interesting. Yeah. I do want to give a shout out. We kind of alluded to this a little bit in regards to the new playing surface they had, artificial turf they brought in. And that was done based on a grant coming out of Arthur Blank's foundation. That's the governor, if you would, of the Atlanta Falcons, who gifted HBCUs millions to improve the facilities. A total of 6.5 was donated to 4 HBCU institutions, 3 of them in the state of Alabama, 1 right there in the city of Atlanta, which is Clark Atlanta University. He also did Albany State University, who's Albany, as you like to say, Mike, and they've done a blue turf in terms of what they got down there, which is fascinating. Savannah State, and he jumped over there to Alabama, Fairfield. Miles College also got an upgrade in terms of their field. So shout out to all of those programs, and in terms of Arthur Blank, who you all know is well known and involved in terms of what he's done with Doug Williams and Shaq in regards to the Black College Football Hall of Fame. He's put his money where his mouth is in terms of supporting HBCU football there at home with the annual Hall of Fame celebration that's done there, along with what he does in New Orleans, supporting them for that HBCU football game, and then including the classic of HBCU football that's held in Canton, Ohio. As we mentioned earlier, starting next year, will feature the previous 2 conference winners out of this, CIAA and SIEC. So fascinating with that. We might get into a little bit more news on the back end. We're going to take this first break and come back on the other side, bring in 2 additional guests. And then we're going to get into the MEAC SWAC Challenge. I'm going to give you some updates in terms of information what this game is, and then I'm going to bring these experts in to talk about that matchup. On this matchup, we're going to focus on the offense of FAMU and the defense of Norfolk State. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Atlanta, Georgia. The HBCU football capital hosts the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge on August 24th. Florida A&M Rattlers, Norfolk State Spartans. SWAC versus MEAC. The rivalry is real. Come out to Center Park Stadium to see the returning HBCU national champions and 2 of the best HBCU bands in the land, the Marching 100 and the Spartan Legion. The day starts with a kickoff fan experience tailgate and concludes with a primetime matchup on ABC. For more information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have none other than Mike and Charles back in here, and we have added on AD Drew and Wilton Jackson II. As he is in his new digs. Jackson, you on the road? They done put a paycheck and got you on the road now. What's going on, man? I know we still negotiating, but are you trying to send messages?
No, I just switched up the rooms today. That's all.
Okay, all right, I got you. I
We don't know they're signing contracts with to do small podcasts and everything. So he living a luxury life. That's what all that is.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So as we said, we're gonna get in and we'll talk a little bit about this MEAC SWAC Challenge matchup. I'm gonna give a couple of historical notes, if you would, before we get into it. Obviously, as you know, Norfolk State joined the MEAC in 1997, while FAMU joined in 1979, left in 84, came back in 86, and then left in 2021. During that period, 84, 86, independent, if you would, as they were looking at some options. And then 2021, as you know, joined the SWAC. So with that, you only have 5 matchups because at that time, the MEAC had multiple teams, so you didn't have everybody playing every year. You have FAMU with 4 wins, 1 loss. They have a win streak of 2 games there, if you would. Longest losing streak obviously would be that just 1. A home record for FAMU is 1-1. Away they were 3-0 in terms of the conference record as members of the MEAC 4-1. The first matchup was a close one. It was a win by FAMU 17-3. In terms of those matchups, to give you some indication, just letting you know what goes on in that matchup. It was in Tallahassee in 2014 where they lost a defensive struggle matchup 12-10 back in 2014, as the last matchup was a win in Norfolk 30-28. So those are some particulars in terms of what's going on in some of this matchup. Obviously, this is the first appearance for those that don't realize Norfolk State heading into the MEAC SWAC Challenge, while FAMU first time representing the SWAC in the matchup. They've been in it a couple of times over the years, representing the MEAC as they have come in to get it done in quite a few of those matchups, going back when they were involved back in 2007, where they played Southern. They lost 33-27. That game was in Legion Field with 30,000 fans in terms of that matchup. They came back in 2013 and faced Mississippi Valley State. That was in Orlando, the Florida Citrus Bowl. They won that game 27-10 with 24,376 fans in terms of that matchup. So 1-1 in terms of what they've done in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. With that being said, I wanted to talk a little bit about this matchup. First, from an offensive perspective, in terms of FAMU, and then in the second segment, we'll go to Norfolk State to see how they may try to contain FAMU from a defensive perspective. Thursday, we'll flip it on its head. We'll look at the defensive side of the ball for FAMU and the offensive side of the ball from Norfolk. Obviously, with that said, all of us know that Norfolk State, Otto Coons, even though we're looking at them defensively, we'll get this out the way, that their quarterback will miss the first 4 games of the season. But in terms of that light, when we spin it in terms of what's taking place on FAMU, you have the transfer, the FBS transfer to be exact. Daniel Richardson was named the starter on earlier this week, yesterday to be exact, in terms of what looks placed there. Let me go to 80 Drew. We'll give him the cheat notes, resident Rattler, as he started, and we'll kind of get him started and give us some buzz. And what do you think about the Rattlers offensively in this particular matchup? What do you say?
Picture's worth 1,000 words, y'all.
Hey, you got to do it Saturday night. Let me see it Saturday night. I want to see you pop your collar Saturday night.
No, seriously. Does not surprise me that Daniel Richardson was named the starter for the Rattlers. You don't bring in a person with the pedigree that Daniel Richardson has, with only 1 year of eligibility remaining, if you do not plan to start him. We have had a small sample size with Junior Maritovich as the starter. He did start last year against California. And I'm going to be honest, I was at that game. he did not impress me in that game against a Division II opponent. So that's why a lot of fans are not surprised that Richardson was named the starter. Although, you do feel some type of obligation by Maritovich in his fourth season, all with FAMU having the opportunity, and he did have the opportunity to compete for the starting position. So it's actually going to be refreshing the quarterback with M in his last name up on the center. We had Maritovich. We had Musa last year. You had Maritovich as the backup, and then backing up Maritovich, you had McKay for a couple of years. So trying to remember who is who, because sometimes you get up in that press box and yell the wrong M when you start talking about all these quarterbacks. This is easy, Daniel Richardson. Now the question is, will FAMU go back to that trend that they had in the past, where the running game was every other season? They would have a good running game one season. Then they would average 70 yards a game the following season up under Willie Simmons. Well, first year head coach, James Colsey, I think FAMU is going to establish a running game. They're going to take some pressures off Richardson. The one thing that concerns me about Richardson on the center, he's 5'10". And when you look at the Florida A&M offensive line, which I'm looking at right now, because I've got
who's there? Because we don't know who's there. Who's on offense?
Who's there? Yeah,
I can't tell all y'all that, but I am. Well,
I will say this: we do know that the first team is Ashton Grable, offensive lineman there. Just to give a little shout out in terms of what that looks like. Like, does he have anybody joining him? Is what Charles and Mike want to know.
Like I said, I'm not going to tell you the starters, but you got a 5'10" quarterback.
Oh, so you going to do it like that? Is that how you going to do it?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Because y'all going to have to wait till
Hey, we supposed to be sharing knowledge.
This all I want to tell y'all. The start left tackle, 6'7". Start left guard, 6'5". Your starting center is 6'6". Your right guard 6'3". Your right tackle is 6'7". And you got
Did they haze you? Did they haze you? Man, they hazed you, didn't they? They said, "Don't you go on that show." No, this is what you gonna say. They gave you that script to say this.
They gave you a talking point.
That was Brian that told him that. Brian wouldn't let him in. They said, "We not letting you in the press box." You come with this.
Yeah, I'm gonna say on Doc's show.
I'm gonna let y'all get in. But true thing, when I got the information and Brian was like, "Can we put a graphic together?" I'm like, "Brian, this information is embargoed. We can't put this information out."
I knew it. They gave you some confidential business neutral
out that I have.
Well, I appreciate it. Hey, Charles, I'm gonna give it to you to give AD Drew a little bit of hard time. So I'm gonna go to you. What are your thoughts in terms of FAMU offensively? If you can't say in terms of your thoughts, give me what are you going to be looking at?
Can they run the football? I think that's the big thing, especially when you look at the two people coming back, Kevin Dean and Jaquez Yant. I mean, both of those guys. Yeah, they combined for over 700 yards, 10 touchdowns last season. The question for me, I mean, we know FAMU keeps receivers, but the question for me is, can they run the football? And that was a little bit of the secret to the sauce last year that made them very difficult to deal with from an offensive standpoint. Was I thought they ran the ball last year much, much better than I had seen them run the football in the past. So I think those are the things that I will especially be looking for. And just, I know they have a lot of talent on especially on the offensive side of the ball, but really both sides of the ball. But gosh, man, I tell you, losing a Musa, losing an Isaiah Major, those are huge chess pieces off the board. So it's the continuity. I think they've talked about that a little bit. They know they are a talented football team, but can they put things together, especially in this game one?
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right down there. Mike, what are your thoughts there?
Nothing different than what you heard. I mean, if you look at, take the look at 2023, where was FAMU? Well, they were number one in pass. They were number one in scoring. they were somewhere 4 or 5 in rushing. And you say that's a problem, but compared to previous years where their rushing game has been fluctuating, it was a balanced year. They put more points on the board than anybody else in the SWAC. So the question is now with whoever they're gonna play, can the running back game be established against the team, Norfolk State, that allowed 200 yards a game average in 2023 that was dead last in the MEAC? So they will have to run. Getting into the middle of the season, I go with CB. The question is, can they resume that same passing attack or some semblance of that passing attack going mid-season? And will they try to do it? I see maybe establishing the run to build some patience, to build some confidence, but eventually trying some 7, 8, 9, 10-yard dinks out to the receivers, get the offense started. But I think they're going to rely heavily initially on the run, so to speak, given the new situation, the new quarterback, the new everything, really. I think they even have a new coordinator, correct? New offensive coordinator. Can you say that, AD Drew?
The offensive coordinator, he was the offensive coordinator last year, but he did not call plays. Willie called his own plays.
Right.
Coach Henry stepped up from the offensive line coach and co-offensive coordinator. Now he's calling plays.
That's bullet point number 6.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, you got somewhat of a new group calling the plays. So then my question is, do you start out with the run to build it? I think so. And then you eventually build confidence in that pass.
Let me go to you, Wilton. Give me some thoughts in terms of FAMU offensively. What are your expectations based on what you've seen in the offseason and what you're covering as you head into this week 0 matchup?
I think my points echo what Charles and Mike have said in a way. I think the biggest thing for me, though, is that one thing we know about FAMU in terms of their success, especially over the last couple of years, it begins and ends with the quarterback. Now, granted, with having that quarterback, that running game or their rushing attack has definitely been beneficial as to why Musa was successful. Because how many times did we see Musa be inconsistent at times and fail to score? And it was the running game that helped him find that rhythm and that rotation, later in games. So with a new quarterback coming in and a guy like Daniel Richardson, I don't necessarily doubt that he's going to be good for this team. But anytime you get a new quarterback in a new system, it's going to take some time. That continuity has to grow. And the best thing that FAMU has going in his defense for him is a strong rushing attack. I don't see them slacking in that regard this year and into this game. And Mike gave the numbers about Norfolk State. Again, that was last year in terms of, how they hadn't stopped the run. But I definitely feel like the best thing for him is having a strong rushing attack. And that'll make things better for Daniel Richardson going into Saturday's game.
Well, I'm going to stick with you on this. I want to tease this out a little bit. So listen from the way that I'm coming at this. Special teams. Okay. And I want to look at special teams more from an offensive perspective in this matchup since we're looking at FAMU offensively at this time. So kickoff returns, punt returns. We think about FAMU, state of Florida, often with a lot of speed, excited about what they bring to the table. And then obviously in terms of extra points and field goals offensively, what are you looking at in terms of FAMU? Can that be a difference in this matchup, particularly when you're leaning on the run and how that may not be able to get going too early? Can you take advantage of getting good field position by a kick return or even, returning one for a touchdown on the special teams? Or if you can get close enough, can you take advantage of a field goal? I'm going to come to you, AD, after that. I'm going to stick with Wilton, and then I'll come to you and get your thoughts in terms of that and go around the group in terms of that perspective.
Oh, absolutely. That you just kind of special teams. The one thing about the first word in special teams is special, and it's special for a reason, not just because of the words, but like these are the difference makers. They can make or break a game. And so you're talking about a FAMU team that has always had big time playmakers and a lot of speed. They definitely have taken advantage of special teams in previous years. So this year I don't see anything different. Like especially when you have a player like Jamar Gassett coming back, wide receiver, we know he can be speedy. Can make potential plays in the special teams area for FAMU, and I would expect him to do that. And you have a punter like Trey Wilhoit coming back. How many times did we see him boot punts to where like that put opposing teams in bad field situations? And in that particular sense, that allowed, essentially FAMU's defense to somewhat have an advantage in terms of getting, the opposing teams off the field quicker. So I think that the special teams aspects could very well, obviously be very beneficial for FAMU coming into Saturday.
Drew, adding that offensively from a special teams perspective, how much do you see that helping FAMU this first week out the box?
Well, I'm kind of along the lines with Wilton. He kind of took a little bit of my shine. Yeah, you got your Jamari Gassett and your Jalen Rogers back there returning kickoffs and punts respectively. But I think the most important person on that special teams is Trey Wilhoit, because Trey Wilhoit can flip the field, pin them deep, and so okay, new quarterback. You're probably not going to be scoring every time. You're not going to be scoring every time. You may have some drives that stall out around midfield. Well, I got a Trey Wilhoit who could ping you inside the 10. Defense comes and gets a 3 and out. Now you get the ball back in the same position, and now you go another 30 yards, and now you're in the red zone. So I think if you're talking special teams, Trey Wilhoit may be the most important person on the special teams. And if you don't see Trey Wilhoit, that's a good day for the offense, everybody.
Charles, jump in there.
Not so fast, because I think special teams basically is a push. I think you mentioned Trey Wilhoit with FAMU, but you also have Noah Tracy, who's second team all-conference selection for Norfolk State. Same thing with regards to return specialist, Jalen White, second team all-conference selection in terms of being a return specialist. So you mentioned Jamari Gassett, but Norfolk State has the same sort of makeup, if you will, from a special team standpoint. So I think that's sort of a push.
Mike, where are you going in terms of special teams from an offensive perspective? Can it help FAMU in this matchup, and why?
Yeah, I think I guess I lean toward CB. If you look at preseason rankings and where some of the players from Norfolk State fell, I guess the biggest thing is when you talk about push and who needed the most, I look at what FAMU brings to the table. And, the last 3 years in special teams, their returners, kick and punt, have been, somewhere around 30 yards. That's a third of a football field. That's a dang near flip almost in possession and where you are on the field. That does amazing things for not only old lady momentum, but for the confidence of an offense. I think the punters, I think the punters are fairly neutral, and I think it'll go back and forth. But I look at this game, I look at who the specialty players are, kick returns, punt returns from an offensive standpoint, and how they can really flip a field. Even if, let's say, Norfolk State has a good day and pins them, with a good team like that, they can still swing the pendulum of old lady momentum with 30 yards on average. That means if you do statistically, some of those may bust out into 40 and 50 yard returns statistically. So I think that can do wonders for your offense. It can be actually your fourth dimension offense, dare I say.
Yep. James Cozy offensively, first team. He thought it should have been a couple more, but you have Ashton Gravel, first team offensive lineman, Kelvin Dean Jr., second team running back. Y'all spoke quite a bit about him. And you also mentioned Jamari Gassett in terms of what he does, wide receiver, and then as a return specialist. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. But let's turn on the other side, and we're going to talk about Dawson Odoms and his defensive unit for the Norfolk State that's going up against this FAMU Rattlers offense. Stick with us. Be right back after this break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait,
Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew, and Wilton Jackson II. Let's get back into it as we talk about Norfolk. Let me give you some of those folks on the defensive side. They had three first-team defensive players. That's Kashawn Lynch, a redshirt junior out of Newport News, Virginia. Defensive lineman, A.J. Richardson, a linebacker, sophomore. Young guy that made a lot of tackles. Kings Mountain, North Carolina, and defensive back, Teron Mallory, a graduate, Norfolk State, New Haven, Connecticut. He had a chance to look at the other side. People were mentioning him maybe as an opportunity to play at the next level. Extremely talented young man there. Norfolk State, obviously they were just 3-8, 1-4 last season, but many people thought that was more on their offensive side of the ball. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about Norfolk offensively on Thursday, but defensive, they were pretty strong last year in terms of what they did, particularly if you think about the challenge they had offensively. They gave up over 4 touchdowns a game, 29.5. That includes some of the FBS programs. Again, anemic offense at times. But I would be interested, and I'm going to go to you, Charles, first to talk a little bit about Norfolk State defensive side of the ball. What are some of their strengths, or what are some things that you want to see that they may be able to get done in this matchup if they're going to have a chance to pull out a victory or keep it close?
Yeah, well, in this era of uncertainty with regards to the roster, the thing that really sticks out with regards to Norfolk State is they have 13 starters coming back to this football team, and that speaks a lot, I think, towards their veteran ball club. And between the first and second team preseason selections, they got 6 guys on the defensive side of the ball. So however you look at whatever FAMU's offense is going to look like, whether it's going to be explosive or not, they're going up against a formidable bunch. And I know the stats last year don't foretell that, but at the same time, I think a year under their belt, in terms of just getting that playing experience, it's going to go play a lot into this football game. And that's why, just from a scoring standpoint, I'm not looking for it to be any sort of a shootout. I'm expecting it to be sort of a slog and a slugfest.
Yeah, I can see that easily coming in this game, particularly what they were doing. Third down conversions for their opponents was 46, 121, at 38%. Fourth down when they forced that, with their defense of unit forced opponents to 13 to 17, converted pretty much on the fourth downs, just under 77%. With that being said, let me go to you, Wilton Jackson. What are your thoughts in terms of Norfolk State and the defensive side of that ball, that unit over there?
When I look at them, like Charles kind of hinted on it, there's some continuity there with some of the returners, but I think the one area that I look at really closely is their secondary with Teron Mallory and Devin Allen. Teron Mallory he had 4 interceptions last year, led the MEAC, and then Devin Allen is coming back. He had that season-ending hand injury from a year ago, and so he had 10 pass breakups. He was all MEAC second team. So when I think about that, with FAMU having a new quarterback coming in, and you as the new quarterback, you're thinking like, well, you don't want to necessarily do too much. That's where the running game comes in for him. But if there is a moment where he forces any type of pass here and there, you should know that the Spartan secondary will probably be ready. This is also a unit that, pass defense, they were second. Now, granted, it was in the MEAC, only 6 teams. They were second in pass defense, giving up maybe almost 171 yards per game. So I'm looking at that secondary to stand out the most for me.
To your point, you talked about Devin Allen. He was on that second team. Charles talked about 13 people returning. Defensive back over there. They also have the linebacker, Dalen Long, as Allen is from Virginia Beach, Virginia. You know what they do in those parts. But Long is from Cincinnati, Ohio, being able to stretch it and recruit out there. But then they got Brandon Wilcox, talking about place kicker in terms of how that happens. When they have their own specialists, as Jalen White, as Charles kind of said, there was a push in terms of that. But let me go to you, Mike, in terms of Norfolk's defense. Where are you saying their strength in that defense is located? And then just give me your overall thought in terms of where they may be able to try to take advantage of FAMU offensively.
I think, and just listening to Milton and to CB, I think I took a different approach. And if you look, not just 23, 22, but 21, they are weak against the run on average, dead last on allowing rushing against it. But they move up in pass defense. So there's some strengths. So their continuity can be a strength in pass defense, but they're playing a team who's probably going to have to establish themselves with a run. So the question is, will that continuity that they bring be strong enough to improve what they've done failed to do really the last 3 years, and that stop the run? I don't have confidence in that. I think they're strong against the pass. You heard some of the players, but if you look at, I think at least 2/3, most of their defense is coming back. So there is some leadership, some continuity. So hopefully that pass remains, but I don't have confidence that, they'll shore themselves up against the run. When you go 3-8 or 3 and $3 million in the conference, and I don't see where they'll be approval. So can they make that turn? Because they're going to face a team that's going to come at them running first.
Good stuff there. AD Drew, want to get your perspective on the Norfolk State Spartans. I know you've been looking at them curiously in terms of what you could maybe see your offense from the Rattlers get going against this defense. And from that perspective, where is that? Where do you want to see FAMU be able to make some moves against this Norfolk State defense, or are there some positions where you see some concerns?
I definitely see some concerns with this Norfolk State defense. And, they say defense wins championships, offense brings out the fan. Well, here's the problem at Norfolk State. You're missing your conference preseason player of the year quarterback, first team quarterback in Otto Coons. You got Jalen Daniels, who who's coming in from Garden City Community College. I believe he played 1 year at where he was on the roster at South Carolina.
Drew, I want to save a little bit of that because we're gonna focus more on Norfolk State's offense on Thursday.
No, but I need you.
What does that mean for you defense?
I need you to follow me on
this. You're gonna do a twist on there. I see.
I need you to follow me on this.
See, you let him finish. When I do that, you cut my mic off. You let him finish. See?
Yeah, but see, I got everybody back there, so he ain't got no choice. See, and here's my point. With the offense, maybe not being able to move the ball, a lot of 3 and outs is going to put pressure on a defense who, under normal circumstances, might be able to play ball for a good little while with the Florida A&M Rattlers. Yeah, they've got a good secondary, but you also got to remember they gave up the 5th most points in the MEAC last season.
Yep.
So giving up almost 30 points a game against the team who was the number 1 offense in the SWAC last season. So if that offense consistently is going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, then I don't care how many starters you have coming back. You're putting too much pressure on that defense, and that defense is going to be playing a lot of extra snaps that is going to ultimately, in the second half, wear that defense down. That's why I use the offensive analogy, everybody. Go ahead, Charles.
That's a whole new offense in 2024.
Yeah.
That's a whole new offense.
Without the
shotgun Simmons.
So the question is, though, AD, with that being said, that pressure, does the fact that you're bringing pretty much almost the same team back, does that continuity add some degree of confidence or ability to handle that pressure? That's the other question that has to be asked.
Norfolk State gave up 200 yards a game.
I know it.
The ground.
Not just in 23, but in 22 and 21 on the ground. Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care how many transfers you have. Part of that has to be scheme if you're giving up numbers like that for 3 consecutive years. And not only do you have to get new players in, but you have to you also need a brand new scheme. You change the defensive coordinator after defensive coordinator to make those corrections. Norfolk State defensive efficiency right in the middle of the MEAC. I don't care. Well, I do care who's coaching Florida A&M, but there's too much talent down there for them to be able to muck this up. There's too much talent coming back. I mean, you got one of the you got one of the top running backs coming back in the doggone. You got Kelvin Dean, who was the MVP of the doggone Celebration Bowl Cup, or was it the SWAC championship game? He was the MVP. He was MVP of one of them 2 games. Coming back.
Celebration Bowl, I think it was. But let me ask you.
It was Celebration Bowl.
Let me ask this question, AD, because I know your ears to the ground, because I know there was like a collective sigh of relief when Daniel Richardson was named the starting quarterback. Y'all was all over the place, like. So I'm just curious, what is it that they saw with Daniel Richardson during the course of camp?
Well, a lot of people said it was a lot of 1A and 1B between Daniel Richardson and Junior Maritovich. Maritovich obviously had the advantage because he was the incumbent quarterback.
Yeah.
He knew the system. Coach Henry was there last year. Although he wasn't calling plays, it was still the same system that they have ran in previous years. So I think that's why there was a little bit of intrepidation, is because Richardson had to come in. He had to learn the system. It looks like once Richardson came in, learned the system.
Yeah,
hey,
but Richard was
the talent has taken over.
From what I understand, he was unlike other transfers. He came in, he practiced during the spring, correct, with the team.
Don't quote me on that. I do not remember. That's. I'm gonna be honest with you, Mike. I've been having too much other FAMU stuff in my head to even remember back what happened in the spring.
I saw the reason I saw something else that said that they have some confidence in Richardson.
No, we didn't. We've had a whole event for 2024, Chuck. Hey, let's do this, y'all. We gonna come back. Dr. Cavil is gonna come back with us when we come back on the other side of the break. We got a few more news and notes, and then we gonna close it out. And we gonna see if anybody knows what happened to Delaware State's plane today. Does anybody have any information? Please drop it in the chat if y'all got the information.
What
you watching Dr. Cavil?
They were late. They were late.
Hey, you know you can't use Uncle Ray Bus Company to take you to the doggone airport.
You can't use Rollo's drop stop bus service. Come on, man.
Go to break.
You watching Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. AD, Charles, Mike, Wilton. We'll be back in just a second.
Hey, grab me one too.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be.
You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel.
Yes!
That's how you waffle.
Mr. This script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel.
A business big leaguer.
Go for key.
Even the ultimate pool float inflator.
With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true.
Gotta get the corners.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Sorry about that. Back in here and got a little computer. Did we come from a break, or are we back in the same segment?
Coming from a break.
Well, let's get into this last segment. As I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you in regards to this season. As we kind of got into MEAC, as we said on Thursday, we'll get back into the MEAC SWAC Challenge. We'll look at offensively Norfolk, which should be intriguing conversation when you talk about what just came out yesterday. And then obviously where a lot of folks are excited down there in Tallahassee is on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll get a chance to talk about what that looks like and take a deeper dive in terms of the MEAC SWAC Challenge on Thursday before Charles and I, as well as AD. Wilton, are you going to be able to make it down to Atlanta for the game?
You see this new room? This is where I'm at. I'm in Atlanta.
That makes it a little easier. You got to just take
back in his old stomping ground.
Yeah. Turning curves in your old stomping ground, as AD would say. Mike, Are you still going to be down there in North Carolina? Are you going to be sneaking in? Or are you back here in Houston or on assignment in Brazil? You get to go to Brazil.
I'll still be in North Carolina, unlike Brazil. Brazil.
That's not fair. But I'm going to leave that right here. I want to ask you about this season in terms of this. First, I'm going to come to you, AD Drew. What is your favorite matchup of the season and why? What matchup are you looking forward to? It could be on the mid-major side of things, as I know you got a lot of focus there, or you can take it on the major side, whichever you want to go. You can go FAMU in terms of that side of the Rattlers. It can be Tuskegee, or you can go off the map. It may be another game, HBCU-wise, that you're looking for. What's on top of your mind in terms of a favorite matchup this season and why?
Don't you hate when the professor gives you a pop quiz?
Yep.
For the pop quiz. Oh my God! Because there are so many intriguing matchups this year. There's so much parity this year. You know, we don't know what's going to happen when it comes to HBCU football. I mean, realistically, week 3 of not only SWAC play but of MEAC play, we could have 12 quarterbacks under center in SWAC that didn't see playing time last year or any significant playing time last year. Same thing in the MEAC this year.
Right.
Well, hell, when you go to the SIAC and CIAA, probably 85% of those teams can say the same thing. You know, I think the only team at least on the FCS level where there's no question about who's playing quarterback is in Hampton.
Yeah.
So, but if you ask me about one matchup, I am going to have to stick with this one, and I'm signing with this. Going to be a little bit of a homer, but for the historical nature of this particular matchup, because these two teams have not met since I believe 1949, and I'm working on a story that's going to be coming out in relation to this particular matchup before that game. It's got to be Grambling and Tuskegee, just for the historical nature of this matchup. Two of the blue bloods, two of the household brands of HBCU football. I don't know how in the hell these two teams have not played in our lifetime. Have not played in some of our grandparents' lifetime.
Yeah.
So, you know, a bowl game or something, you would think they would have crossed paths since pretty much post World War II. But that's, if you ask me about one, that's the one that I have to go with right now, Dr. Cavil.
Yeah.
I like it. That's a good one. Particularly not getting ready for this pop quiz. That's a pretty good one. You might have aced it. Wilton, where are you going with your favorite matchup and why?
You know, I want to be biased so bad, but I feel like Charles is going to be biased, so I'm going to let him do the biasing. I'm going to give a MEAC matchup that's still been intriguing because I guess for me, I'm really excited to see what Chennis Berry does with South Carolina State. So I'm going to say South Carolina State in Central, North Carolina Central, to see what that game looks like.
That's a good one. That is a real good one. I like it. Mike? Charles, go ahead since he called you out. Which matchup you going? You gonna go Homer?
Well, I was gonna allow Wilson to do the bias.
No, I got you this time.
but since you're gonna lay the bias in my lap, then obviously, you know, Jackson State and Southern. And I say this, it's very interesting because I think it's very generational. Generation prior to me, it would definitely be Jackson State Alcorn. But I come to Jackson State post 28 game SWAC win streak. And into the 90s with Air McNair, but it was the ascension of the Southern football program with St. Pete Richardson, where they really got good in the 90s, and we could not stand each other. It's like, you know, going blow to blow with your first cousin, because in every way, you know, they mimic, you know, Jackson State's fan base, you know, or a Southern person would say, you know, they mimic us or whatever the case might be. But it just became ultra competitive in everything, whether it was football, basketball, baseball, tiddlywinks, and or the band, exactly, or the band, definitely the band. But I mean, when you get to that Jackson State Southern rivalry in the 90s, that was a completely different something to sort of let wash over you. That you went there as though you were part of somebody's team because you had that just that much animus.
I like that. Coach Ferrazzi talking about AD Drew never not working. That's true. Homework assignment on. Mike, I'm coming to you, Mike. What's your matchup and why?
Man, I'm kind of like AD. How you gonna give this assignment with all this happening this year? So I mean,
that's why I do it. It was gonna be a hard one for some people.
You gonna. I mean, you asking me to go into a store full of candy and choose. So if I had to choose and be like my homie CB and go with the homie, the favorite, I have to say Southern coming to PV this year. That's always a back and forth rivalry. It's a rivalry between the fans or whatever. But I put a tickler for South Carolina State going to FAMU. Interesting. South Carolina State, I don't know where they fell in the last couple of years, but they could. I think I have a funny feeling and a sneaky suspicion that they on their way back up. It'll be interesting to see how they fare against FAMU. So those are two matchups that I'm looking forward to see for different reasons.
Let me give you a weekend that I'm really looking.
Yeah, I could give a weekend.
A weekend that I'm really looking forward to. November 15th, 16th.
Yes.
November 15th, we have Howard at North Carolina Central.
Yes.
And in the MEAC, you also have South Carolina State at Morgan State, November 16th.
Yep.
Okay. In the SWAC, November 16th, Jackson State goes to Montgomery to take on Alabama State. That is going to be a fun weekend of football.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it up before we close it out. I'm gonna give everybody a chance to cheat off Charles, because that was actually a follow-up question. And I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna agree with you, Charles, but for a different reason. That is my most weekend that I'm excited about. Because check this out. When you look at it like this, it starts Thursday night. You have Grambling to Alabama A&M. Then you have that Friday night matchup that you were talking about with the Howard at Central.
Yep.
That's Friday night. Then you go to Saturday. You got the 5 games in the SWAC, 2 in the MEAC, and those 5 games in the SWAC are Mississippi Valley State at FAMU, Jackson State at Alabama State, Arkansas Pine Bluff at Southern, Bethune-Cookman at Texas Southern, Alcorn at Prairie View, and in the MEAC you have Delaware State at Norfolk State and South Carolina State at Morgan State. You got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday chock full of great matchups. And that doesn't even include Hampton, Tennessee State, and A&T in regards to what they're going to do in those type of matchups. Shout out to Sneaker Shop Talk. He said he wants to be a homer, but I think it's a good one. He says Tennessee State at Howard. Be homecoming.
Yeah.
That is a big game, while everybody will have other things, and they might not be able to get there to do the homecoming. But they're certainly going to be watching it. Kevin Rozier, I like what he said. Orange Blossom Classic, first week, you got Alabama State, North Carolina Central State, and on paper, in terms of top 4 rankings, that is fascinating in terms of just on paper what you're going to see in terms of that matchup. I'm very interested in that. I have number 1 North Carolina Central opening up in my preseason poll. And I have Alabama State at 5. Top 5 matchup to kick things off as an HBCU fan, MEAC SWAC. What you love about the MEAC SWAC Challenge, because it's week 0, you got the defending champion coming in that matchup. But that first week, obviously you had a conference game with Texas Southern and Prairie View for a lot of marbles, with 2 Houston Oilers, a first-year coach over here at Texas Southern, fascinating. But I like that top 5 matchup, MEAC SWAC. In terms of what goes on there in so many ways in that. Head ball coach over there at North Carolina Central, you know he's going to give you some talking points coming in that matchup.
I see Mr. Grant, Mr. Glantz on the phone.
All games televised.
Let me go to
all games televised.
What's your favorite week? You said you wanted to get in favorite weeks, and Charles, I'm gonna give everybody a chance to do that.
Right. Oh no, that was mine as well. That November 16th, for the very reasons, that was the one. If you would have asked us to pick a favorite week, that was mine for all of those reasons. I know we time prohibited, but I saw John Grant was on the. Hey John, I'm here. You talked about me when you last saw me. I'm here, Mr. Grant. You see me, right? You see me. I'm here. Talked about me.
Oh boy, I tell you, AD Drew, what's your favorite week? I love what you said, and if I had to give a prize for the first conference, I would have gave you. You snuck in there. I hit you off the bat. Strong quiz, but you came with it. That Tuskegee, Grammar State, and how you wrapped it in a bow for us. I'd have to give you the big prize. Wilson, I'm gonna give you credit. You went outside of the SWAC and you went into the MEAC, so you would get that second prize that I would give. My teammates that see all the time, they let me down. So Charles did win in terms of second question. Mike tried to back it up. Drew played it safe. So Wilton, what's your biggest week? See if you can hold it down. You were right there on the prize. Can you hold steady?
So my week, Charles, he pretty much kind of nailed it. But I'll say if it's any other week, now this is me going into the homer side real quick. I'm gonna definitely say Jackson State Southern, September 14th.
Bucket list. And I'm supposed to crave it. I got plane tickets, hotel. Hope nothing gets in the way. I'll get to chalk that one off and check the box for the bucket list. I'll be there.
You know, they need to figure out a way to move that game to like the third Saturday in October. So it has a little bit of chill. It seems like October.
Hey, I do, but I want them to wait to move it to the end when it comes back on the conference schedule. Right now, it's a non-conference game.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem being played early since it's not really for the marbles in terms of being in the conference win or loss. Although I know it matters to you all so much, it'll be fascinating in terms of what that looks like. Great dialogue, great conversation. Again, Thursday we'll pick it back up. We'll go a little more in terms of the MEAC SWAC challenge and talk a little bit in regards to what these gentlemen think about in terms of the coaching matchup. I want to get their thoughts on that. And then obviously we got to talk a little bit about Norfolk State on the offensive side of the ball. Quarterback is not there. And then we're going to look at FAMU, that vaunted defense that people think, regardless, new coach Rozier, in terms of Cozy, what's going to go on at the FAMU defensive side of the ball. Last thing there, Drew.
You didn't give me a chance to give my week.
Oh, you're right. You had the grand prize, so I certainly need to give you.
Yeah, you had first prize, but man, take your prize and go.
I'm trying to get the cherry on top, but I need y'all to go 1 week ahead of what Charles was talking about. The prelude to the big BX, to the big SWAC.
You talking about week 11?
Yeah. How about the 11-9, November 9th? How about let's start off in the SIAC, Albany State, Fort Valley State. Here's a game. If the rat poison comes true, this Clark Morehouse game could be interesting because if Clark does what they're supposed to do, that game could make the difference for somebody getting in or getting out of that SIAC outside that SIAC championship game.
Don't egg him on. If was a spliff, we all whatever.
Which means that's Miles Tuskegee week as well, right?
Exactly. Here's one a sneaky one. Lane and Lincoln of Missouri. Lincoln of Missouri does not have too many HBCU rivals that they play. So the fact that they get to play Lincoln, that they get to play Lane,
and they get a W. That's a good one.
Exactly. That game, they used to play that game once upon a time. Obviously, you got Virginia State and Virginia Union on that same weekend with Salem State, Fayetteville State, Johnson C. Smith, Livingstone. But here's the one in the MEAC that y'all better pay attention to that week: South Carolina State Howard.
Ooh, I like it. And you have 5 SWAC games on, 3 MEAC games. That's a good one. Good one. I like that weekend. You might have kept the prize, man. I don't know what y'all gonna do with AD Drew. He kicking butt today. With that being said, let's close it up. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues, as week 11 and week 12 are gonna scare some people around these parts. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Hope you enjoyed the show as we had Wilton Jackson II join us along with AD Drew, breaking down the MEAC SWAC Challenge. FAMU Norfolk State should be an interesting one, no matter what side you're pulling for. Again, we want to thank you for listening. Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Fascinating when you talk about this matchup in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. Charles, 2-2 over the last 4 games. In terms of what that looks like, you go back a little bit, you have SWAC 3-1 in the matchup since its return to Atlanta. So it's fascinating. While obviously the MEAC has the overall edge in terms of the record, things have slightly changed. Is that indication, or will things change this year? We'll have to see this weekend. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattaCavil. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. DrKenyattaCavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube is Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big and continue to move forward. Shout out as the Democratic Party started this week, obviously in Chicago. Charles was just there, so I saw him getting it in there. Went to Jordan's Steakhouse. Didn't share anybody. Didn't get any coupons.
He said he wasn't sure.
Steaks, drinks, all that is on Charles. And he can't eat a whole bunch right now, so he got to share it anyway.
Gary gave me a little, piece of that steak or whatever with some mushrooms on it. You could have got that on the plane. I mean, you want to be stingy? It's okay.
With 12 pounds.
Shout out to President Biden. He did a great speech yesterday to close out things. I have to just tip my hat in terms of somebody dropping the mic as he walked off talking about a sporting phenomenon. Boy, did he give it all day. With that being said, let's take it around and see how we do it. Let's go with you, Mike.
Courts.
Charles.
Lecture.
Wilton, don't mess it up. AD Drew.
Lecture.
Come on. Dude, you done had 50 times. Come on.
Hey, he was going 3 weeks in a row.
Take all his points away. Take all his points away.
Too much pressure. I'm telling you.
You shouldn't even never said that.
Too much pressure.
It's going to be like that Saturday in Atlanta. Too much
I
pressure.
know, right? All that pressure, man. Come on.
We'll see y'all. See y'all Thursday.